You probably haven't heard this before, and that's not by accident. There's a method so powerful that when you use it, something inside you instantly remembers who you really are. This isn't just some theory or useless ritual. It actually works. And because it works, it's been kept secret for hundreds of years. The ones who hold power in the world know that once a person remembers their true self, they can't be controlled anymore. They stop living by fear, guilt, or the need to be accepted. They become free. And that kind of freedom is a threat to anyone trying to keep you stuck. But now is the moment. In the next few minutes, you'll understand why this method was once considered forbidden. Even more than that, you'll start to feel it waking up inside you. But stay with me. Don't miss anything. If you skip even one part of what I'm about to share, you could go through your whole life without ever remembering who you truly are. And it all starts here. What's hidden inside you can only be revealed when the mind goes quiet and you listen to your real inner voice. When you look at ancient cultures, something surprising comes up. Civilizations that never met and lived on opposite sides of the world all talked about the same ideas. They didn't have phones, planes, or a shared language. But somehow, in faraway temples and in different tongues, they said the same thing: humanity has forgotten its true identity. In Egypt, they spoke of a fall, not a physical one, but a drop in the soul's energy as it entered the body. It was like light being covered in a thick fog. They didn't see the body as bad, but as something to work through. They believed the soul came into this world of shape and form and forgot where it came from. And what hurt the most wasn't the forgetting itself, it was the quiet feeling that something was off. Like hearing a faint sound you can't explain but know is real. In ancient India, the wise ones called this forgetting, Sara. They believed the soul doesn't need to collect new knowledge because everything it needs is already inside. The real journey is to remember. And remembering doesn't happen through books or debates. It happens through practice, through silence, meditation, sound, and a shift in awareness where the ego steps back and the true self rises again. In Greece, the Orphics thought of the soul as being trapped in the body. But they didn't say that in a negative way. It was a call to wake up. They taught that while the body is temporary, the soul is eternal. Their rituals used music, breathing, and altered states to help people experience that truth, even while still alive. These teachings didn't copy each other. They were different ways of showing the same deep truth, one that goes beyond cultures and borders. A truth that doesn't belong to any group, religion, or country. It's a memory that's always been in the human heart. But here's the interesting part. None of these ancient places had a clear, step-by-step guide you could just read. There were no open books with all the answers because they believed this kind of wisdom shouldn't be given to just anyone. That's why the teachings were shared in private, spoken quietly from teacher to student, often in temples far away from the public. Anyone who really wanted to learn had to be ready and had to search for it. The real danger wasn't the method itself, but what could happen if someone used it without being ready to face their own ego. That's why the wise ones guarded this knowledge like sacred fire. It wasn't about keeping people out. It was about protecting those who weren't yet strong enough to handle it. Truly remembering who you are isn't a comfortable thing. It changes everything. It takes away your emotional safety nets, breaks down old beliefs, and removes the mental walls you once thought kept you safe. But even though this wisdom was protected, it was never completely lost. It survived through time, hidden in myths, symbols, and old stories that only a few knew how to truly understand. You can find it in Egyptian symbols, Vedic writings, Greek plays, and stories told by shamans. Even today, in our modern world, this wisdom is still alive in those who listen, not just with their ears, but with their hearts. But now a big question comes up. What really happened in those ancient temples? What kinds of rituals took place in those quiet, hidden rooms far away from the world's eyes? How did someone go beyond the illusion and remember their soul? Whatever happened there was so deep, so life-changing, that many who went through it were never the same again. And that's what we're about to explore right now. The first step was breaking the false identity, without fear. These rituals weren't made to impress people or push blind beliefs. They were real experiences that changed a person forever. When someone walked into an Egyptian temple, an Orphic place, or a Vedic school, they weren't just doing a ceremony. They were about to face death, but not a physical one. It wasn't their body that died. It was something more subtle, more frightening to anyone still stuck in their ego. They called it a symbolic death. A moment where the person went into such deep stillness that their awareness left the body for a few hours. And in that state, they weren't guided by words, but by energy, symbols, and feeling, through a hidden world most people don't know exists. On the other side of that veil, there were no teachers giving easy answers. There was only what the soul already knew but had forgotten. That was the secret they protected. No one can teach you who you are. You remember. You've always known. It's just that the ego, with its fear, pride, and guilt, gets so loud that you can't hear what your inner voice is quietly saying. During this deep journey, the person didn't learn anything new from outside. In fact, what they experienced felt more like going back home. They recognized symbols they'd never seen before. They understood truths they never read in any book. It was like waking up from a long dream and finally remembering who they really were before all of this began. That's what made the ritual so powerful. It wasn't about collecting knowledge or satisfying curiosity. It was a deep, shocking moment of spiritual truth. And once you see what's beyond the illusion, you can't unsee it. The old fears, the fake sense of separation, the need to control, none of that makes sense anymore. You return to your body, but something inside you has changed forever. But this journey wasn't easy. Crossing that veil took real courage. Not everyone could do it. Some, when they saw the vast truth of who they were, felt fear. The ego didn't want to give up control. In some cases, the person got stuck, not fully back in the illusion, but not ready to live from their soul either. And Thoth warned about this clearly. He said the biggest danger on this path is trying to walk it without being prepared. When the ego is faced with truth, it can twist the experience and use it to grow even more spiritual pride. That's why not everyone who went through the ritual came back changed. Some came back confused, scared, or broken, because they weren't ready to let go of the identity they were holding on to. And this is the most sensitive part of the teaching. Many people turn to spiritual practices to feel stronger, more enlightened, or more important. But real awakening doesn't make you special. It makes you honest. And being honest means letting go of anything fake, anything you've been doing to impress others, hide from fear, or feel better than someone else. This is the kind of death that doesn't end your life, it ends the fake identity. It ends the role you've been acting out without even realizing it. But Thoth also said that if you go through this process with honesty and bravery, what's waiting for you on the other side isn't destruction. It's a new beginning. A rebirth. This was the start of a new kind of life, one where you don't have to depend on the lies the world told you about yourself. You just are. Simple. Quiet. Whole. Just like you always were, but had forgotten. Not everyone was able to return the same. Some made the journey but couldn't bring what they saw back into their everyday life. They got stuck in an in-between place, knowing the truth but unable to live it. That's the danger Thoth warned about, because remembering who you are is only the first step. The real work is living from that place. And if this journey was so deep, so risky, and so powerful, what protected people from the dangers? How did they prepare before taking that inner path? That's what we're going to uncover now. It's no use walking through the unseen world if you're still carrying the weight of who you're not. Thoth didn't sugarcoat it. The first obstacle isn't outside of you. It's inside. And it's not some demon, curse, or outside enemy. It's the false identity, the voice that keeps repeating who you think you are, built from fears, beliefs, and expectations planted in you since childhood. But that's not the real you. It's just a role, a part you started playing without even knowing it, just to fit in. Since you were little, you heard things like, you're too emotional, you're not good enough, you have to be strong, you have to be perfect. And without noticing, you started wearing those words like they were your own. But none of that came from your soul. It came from other people's fears, the limits they carried and passed on to you. Thoth called this the invisible mental prison. Not because you can see the chains, but because you don't even know they're there. You think these thoughts are yours, but they're really just patterns you picked up and never questioned. And this is where the real journey starts. You can't reach higher truth if your inner world is still full of illusions. To break through that first barrier, Thoth taught something very simple, but very powerful. And you can try it right now. Just notice a thought in your mind. It could be a worry, a fear, or a doubt. Now ask yourself, is this thought really mine? Or did someone else put it in me? You'll start to see that most of the thoughts running your life didn't come from you. They came from your family, your culture, or people around you. And the strange thing is, you never realized it until now. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. That small moment of awareness cracks the shell of the false self. Because when you stop blindly believing your thoughts, you create space. And in that space, real freedom begins. But don't expect it to be easy. The false identity will try to hold on. It'll tell you it's unsafe to let go. That you'll feel lost, exposed, unsure. And maybe for a while, you will. It's like taking off a mask you've worn your whole life. At first, your face feels unfamiliar. But with time, you start to breathe again. This is the beginning of the forbidden technique. Before chasing spiritual experiences, you have to clean your inner space. Because there's no point planting truth in a mind full of lies. The ego will twist even the most beautiful truths to serve itself. It'll turn freedom into pride. It'll turn wisdom into ego. It'll turn spirituality into a competition. That's why Thoth was so clear. Clean first. See what's false. Then move forward. And when you start letting go of all the roles you've been playing, something shifts. Silence, which once felt uncomfortable, starts to feel peaceful. Not having all the answers becomes okay. You no longer feel the need to prove anything, not to others, not to yourself. Because now, for the first time, you're starting to be real. You're being you, without hiding behind masks. But this clearing doesn't leave you empty. It's actually in that space that something deeper wakes up. Something that's been there since you were born, quietly waiting for you to look inward. And that part, we're going to explore next. There's a sound inside you that can't be spoken, only felt. When the truest part of you rises, your whole way of seeing life changes. It's like something invisible is removed from your eyes. But strangely, it's not even your eyes doing the seeing. Thoth called this, the single eye. It's not your physical sight. It's not logic or emotion either. It's a knowing that doesn't come from thinking. It's a pure, quiet awareness that's more real than anything you could ever explain with words. It's always been there, but covered by noise, by opinions, by beliefs you were taught to accept. Since you were young, you were taught that to understand life, you need to analyze, compare, judge, and figure things out. But the real truth doesn't come from comparing. It comes from being fully present. And the single eye, the way of seeing beyond the surface, doesn't compare anything. It just sees. To see, in a spiritual sense, doesn't mean looking around with your eyes. It means sensing reality without any filters. It means feeling what's real before your mind starts twisting it, trying to label or explain it. The mind wants to name everything. It wants to divide things into good or bad, right or wrong, pretty or ugly. But the single eye doesn't rush. It simply watches. It sees what's there without needing to give it a label. Because of that, it connects with a deeper level of life, a level where everything is already whole, nothing missing. And the good news? You don't need years of training to start feeling this. You don't need to go on a retreat or read stacks of books. Thoth taught that all you need is one moment of real silence. Not the kind of silence where you're waiting for something special, but silence without any expectations. A calm space, without effort. Let's try it together right now. Close your eyes for a few seconds. Take a slow, deep breath. Don't try to feel anything big. Don't expect a magical moment. Just be quiet and present. That's it. Open your eyes. Maybe you noticed something. Maybe you didn't. But something important happened. Even if your mind didn't catch it, you just made space for real awareness to show up. Even a few seconds of silence can start to weaken the noise that runs your day. That's how the single eye starts to open, not with ideas, but with stillness. Not through thinking, but through presence. And the more you practice this, the more you begin to notice another level of life beneath the one your eyes usually see. A level where everything feels connected by a quiet energy. But this kind of seeing is just the start. It shows you there's more than thoughts and emotions, but it's not the deepest part of who you are yet. Because even if you can see life clearly, there's still one thing missing. Something that goes beyond everything you can feel or understand. Thoth said that this missing piece is the real sound of your soul. Almost no one ever connects with it. It's not something you can explain. It's not logical. You can only feel it, when everything else becomes still. And from that stillness, something even deeper begins to rise. Seeing the world without filters is already a big step. But Thoth said there's something even more personal, even more real. It's the core of your being, a vibration that has been with you since the very beginning. The ancients called it the invisible name. It's not a name like Sarah, Michael, or anything people made up. It's not a word, it's a frequency. A deep energy that, when felt, makes everything inside you remember who you are. No one can tell you what this name is. It can't be taught. It's not information. It's a quiet sound. A call that doesn't come through your ears, but is felt in your spiritual heart. In Hermetic wisdom, Thoth explained that this name isn't found in books, formulas, or outer rituals. It's felt through inner alignment. That means when your mind becomes calm and your heart opens up, this silent energy begins to rise on its own. It's always been there. But the loud voice of your mind and the masks of your ego have been covering it up. And what's interesting is, you've already felt it before, even if you didn't realize it. Think about those rare moments when everything feels right, even if there's no clear reason. Or when you get a deep gut feeling that something is true, and you just know what to do. Those moments, without doubt, without stress, are echoes of your invisible name. In those moments, the noise quiets, and the deep vibration within you can finally be heard. But here's something important, this inner sound doesn't need words. In fact, trying to describe it only limits it. You can't put it in a box. It's not meant to be figured out with the mind. It belongs to the deepest part of you, your essence. Thoth said this vibration is your true center. It's the moment you stop being a mix of thoughts and feelings, and become your pure self. No roles. No characters. No story. Just you, calm, quiet, complete. Nothing to prove. Nothing to achieve. Just being. And when this vibration becomes clearer, something powerful happens. Deep inside your chest, you feel a quiet kind of certainty. Not pride. Not arrogance. But a peaceful knowing that doesn't depend on anything outside. It's like saying, I know who I am, and I don't need the world to tell me. But here's the part most people miss. When this light inside you begins to shine, it doesn't just show the beautiful parts. It lights up everything, even the parts you've tried to hide. Old wounds. Fears you never faced. Pain you buried years ago. Because true light doesn't choose what to reveal. It shows whatever is still blocking your freedom. And that's the part that scares many people. When this deep vibration wakes up, everything hidden in the dark comes to the surface. And it's not always easy to face. When you remember who you are, you also see who tried to hide that truth. It's not just about remembering your light, your divine, pure nature. It also means facing all the layers you built just to survive. All the shields you created to protect yourself from pain, fear, and rejection. Thoth called this soul purification. But this isn't about punishment or being judged. It's a natural process, like how water cleans dirt when it flows back to its source. When you start to remember who you are, old wounds rise up, not to hurt you again, but so they can finally be healed. Fears you've carried for years start to show their true roots. Lies you've told yourself, like I'm not good enough, I have to please everyone, I must always protect myself, begin to fall apart. When you really see who you are, your light shines into all the dark corners you tried to avoid. And at first, it can feel painful. But it's that pain that brings freedom. The pain of taking off the mask. The pain of realizing you've been stuck in beliefs that were never really yours. The pain of seeing how long you've been running from yourself. Thoth made one thing clear, suffering continues only when you resist. When you accept what shows up, healing begins. That's true purification. It's not about rejecting what's wrong, it's about accepting what's been hidden. It means bringing everything into the light, even the parts you didn't want to see. And when that happens, something important shifts. The soul begins to guide your life. The mind, which always wanted control, starts to let go. The ego, which moved you through fear and craving, goes quiet. And in that silence, true awareness rises. But this is when the real test starts, because remembering who you are is only the first step. Now you must live from that truth. You can't stop in the middle. If you do, the mind will try to take over again. It will pull you back into your old patterns, your comfort zone, the familiar stories. But if you fall into that trap, you start to forget again. And your soul doesn't want to go back to sleep. It wants to live. When the soul leads, your way of seeing life changes. It's not the mind controlling everything anymore. Now your awareness watches calmly, without trying to fix or change what's happening. You enter what Thoth called the waking trance. A state where you're fully aware but not caught up in the chaos around you. In this state, time slows down. You feel each moment more clearly. Emotions still come, but they don't run your life anymore. They move through you, and you get to choose what to do with them. Intuition flows naturally. Decisions become clearer. Things that once stressed you now seem small compared to the vastness of who you are. It's like standing in a storm, but watching it from the calm center inside. A silence that stays steady no matter what's going on outside. The world keeps moving. People rush around. The noise is still there. But inside there is peace. Not because the world changed, but because you changed how you see it. This is the great secret, how to stay awake while the world sleeps. Living in awareness is easy in quiet moments. But staying awake while others sleep, while life is chaotic, that's the real challenge. And Thoth was clear about this. The true alchemist doesn't run away from the world. He lives among others, but his energy stays clear. He doesn't reject ordinary life. He transforms it, through his presence. And how does that happen in real life? Not by becoming a monk on a mountain. But by taking a slow breath in traffic. By staying calm during small talk. By choosing what to let into your mind, your heart, and your body. Because everything you take in affects your energy. Thoth shared simple, powerful practices. One was active silence. That's not hiding or escaping. It's being still inside even while doing your daily tasks. A part of you stays aware, steady, and quiet. You don't lose yourself in the rush. You stay balanced within. Another was conscious choice. Most people react without thinking. They don't choose their thoughts or feelings. They follow habits they never questioned. But the vibrational alchemist chooses. He decides what to feed his mind, how to use his words, and how to act. And finally, there's watchfulness over the mind. The mind is like a garden. If you don't care for it, weeds take over. Unnecessary thoughts, fears, and outside noise sneak in without you knowing. And before you realize it, you feel tired, anxious, and disconnected. That's why filtering what you take in is so important. It's not about ignoring reality, it's about living with awareness. And once these practices become part of your everyday life, something amazing happens. The remembering stays. It's no longer a temporary state that comes and goes. It becomes the way you live. It's not a peak moment anymore. It becomes your steady foundation. The soul is no longer a visitor, it becomes your home. And that's the true return. Not going back to the past, but going back home. Because your soul wasn't born when you were. It's always been here. It had only been sleeping, buried under layers of forgetting. Thoth called this the return to the source. It's not a physical place you can visit, but it's closer than anything outside. It's a state where the search finally stops, because you understand that what you were chasing your whole life was always inside you. It was never far. And then something shifts. You realize you don't need to seek approval anymore. You don't have to go searching for answers in the outside world. You don't need to beg for love. Because now you know, you are that love. You are the peace. You are the wisdom. Everything you were hoping to find out there was already within your soul, waiting for you to remember. And if you're still here listening, it means that part of you has already started to wake up. So let me ask you, who else feels this shift? Leave a comment below. I remembered who I am. Let's share this energy and show the world that more people are waking up, even while most are still asleep. And if you'd like to support this channel and help us reach more people with this message, check out the link in the pinned comment. You can be part of this journey, helping more souls remember. And don't go just yet. I picked another powerful video for you to keep walking this path. Click the one that's on your screen right now, and I'll meet you there.